Certain surrounding conditions with the Exioihari formed in two-brained Gurdjieff beings of the male sex, but only as the active factor is such an actualizing process of the fundamental sacred Triyamasikamno. In short, during the said terrible years on this planet of yours, a result very rare in the universe was obtained. That is to say, there was obtained the blending of the Exioiharis of two Gurdjieff beings of different brain systems of opposite sexes. And as a result, there arose the ancestors of these terrestrial misconceived beings, now called apes, who give your favorites no peace and who from time to time agitate their strange reason. But when, after the mentioned terrible period there on your planet, when the relatively normal process of ordinary existence was reestablished, and your favorites of different sexes again began to find each other and to exist together, then the continuation of the species of the ape beings was thereafter actualized also among beings similar to themselves. And this continuation of their species by these abnormally arisen ape beings there could be further continued among themselves, because the conception for the arising of the first of these abnormal beings had also proceeded, owing to those same mentioned external conditions, thanks to which the presences of future Gurdjieff beings of active or of passive sex are generally determined. The most interesting result of this already excessive abnormal manifestation of the three-brained beings of your planet is that there now exist a great many species of generations of ape beings differing in exterior form, and each of these varied species bears a very definite resemblance to some form of a two-brained quadruped being still existing there. This came about because the blending of the Exioihari of the Gurdjieff three-brained beings there of the female sex, which served as a beginning for the arising of the ancestors of these apes, then proceeded with the active Exioihari of those same varied quadruped beings existing there up to the present time. And indeed, my boy, when during the period of my last personal stay on the planet Earth, I chanced during my travels to meet with the said various independent species of apes, and when, by a habit which has become second nature, I also observed them, I can state very definitely that the whole of the inner functioning and what are called the automatic posture of each separate species of these contemporary apes there are exactly like those present in the whole of the presences of some normally arisen quadruped being there, and that even what are called their facial features very definitely resemble those of the said quadrupeds. But on the other hand, that what are called the psychic features of all the separate species of these apes there are absolutely identical, even down to the details, with those of the psyche of the three-brained beings there of the female sex. At this point of his tales, Beelzebub made a long pause, and looking at his favorite, Hussein, with a smile which very clearly expressed a double meaning, he, continuing to smile, said, "In the text of the etherogram, which I have just received, it is further said that in order this time finally to settle who has descended from whom, whether they from apes or the apes from them, these freaks, your favorites, have decided to carry out scientific experiments, and furthermore that several of them have already left for the continent of Africa, where many of these apes breed, with the object of bringing back from there the number required for these scientific investigations of theirs. To judge by this etherogram, The beings of the planet Earth who have taken your fancy are again, in their turn, up to their extraordinary tricks. From all I have learned about them during my observations, I foresee that this scientific experiment will, of course, very greatly interest other of your favorites also, and will serve for a time as material to their strange reason for endless discussion and talks. And all this will be quite in the order of things there. Concerning the scientific experiment itself, which they propose to carry out with the apes taken back from Africa, I can with certainty say beforehand that at any rate the first part of it will, without any doubt, succeed wonderfully well. And it will succeed wonderfully well because the apes themselves, as beings of what is called a Terabelnian result, are already, owing to their nature, extremely fond of occupying themselves with titillation, and before the day is out will no doubt participate in and greatly assist your favorites in this scientific experiment of theirs. As for those beings there who are going to carry out this scientific experiment, and as for any benefit from it, for the other three-brained beings there, it can all be pictured to oneself, if one remembers the profoundly wise saying of our same Honorable Mullah Nasr ad-Din, in which he says, "Happy is that father whose son is even busy with murder and robbery, for he himself will then have no time to get accustomed to occupy himself with titillation." Yes, my boy, it seems that I have not yet told you why and by whom, since I left the solar system Ors, I am kept informed by etherograms of the most important events which proceed on various planets of that system, and of course also about events proceeding on your planet Earth. You remember, I told you, that my first descent in person upon the surface of that planet of yours took place on account of one of the young beings of our tribe, who then had no desire to stay there any longer, but returned with us to the planet Mars, where he later became a very good chief over all the beings of our tribe existing on that planet, and who is now already the chief over all the beings in general of our tribe who for various reasons still exist on certain planets of that system Ors. Well then, my boy, when I left that system, I presented my famous observatory to him, with everything in it, and in gratitude for this he promised to report every month, according to the time calculation of the planet Mars, all the more important events occurring on the planets of that system. And now, this chief keeps me very accurately informed of the most important events proceeding on all the planets on which there is a being existence. And knowing my great interest in the three-brained beings breeding on the planet Earth, he does his best, as I now see, to elucidate and send me information concerning all those manifestations of theirs which can give me now also the possibility of being constantly informed of the whole process of the ordinary existence of these three-brained beings, even though I find myself already inaccessibly remote even for their featherweight thoughts. That chief of our beings who remains there collects the various kinds of information he communicates concerning the three-brained beings of the planet Earth, either by means of his own observations of them through the great Tesquano which I left him, or from reports which in their turn are communicated to him by those three beings of our own tribe who chose to exist forever on the planet Earth, and all three of whom have at the present time on the continent of Europe different substantial independent undertakings indispensable for everyone existing there under the prevailing conditions.